Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. I'm your host, Alex Wong. We'll have Alvin Williams of Sportsnet joining us in a second. And for the Will Who stands, Will is home today, but he will be joining me in the second segment just to catch him up and, just get our banter back. But the Raptors' losing streak after the weekend is now at 5 games. Loss at the buzzer to the Brooklyn Nets on Friday. Shout out to Yuta Watanabe and not Kyrie. And yesterday they were blown out by the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, a Golden State team that came in with a 2-14 record on the road. Jordan Poole with a career high 43 points. And now the Raptors are back on the road this week with 3 games starting tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers, hoping to snap this losing streak. They're now 13-17 on the season. OG Anunoby, who has been out, is listed as questionable for tonight. And yesterday, Nick Nurse did say that he expects OG to be back at some point this week, saying that his hip and hand issues are improving. In terms of the other injuries, Gary Trent Jr. is still dealing with a thigh problem in both his legs. And Nick said, quote, "It doesn't look like it's getting much better." And I think they're searching for more answers at this point with regards to the trainers and the medical staff. So that's the injury update. But I think a lot of people want to talk about just where the Raptors are at right now, given their losing streak and given what fans have seen through 30 games so far this season. So joining me on the line is Alvin Williams of Sportsnet. Alvin, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Alex?
Good. The Raptors are not doing so well. And I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people, maybe just on a surface level, look at it's the same roster, mostly returning this season. And we've seen some improvements year to year from players like Pascal and OG, but the team seems to be trending in the wrong direction and don't really have an identity right now. If you were to look at a big picture, like what's your diagnosis of why the team is struggling so much right now?
I mean, for me, it's defense. Defensively, the team isn't just they're not locked in the way you would need a team to lock in, especially when your shooting is down. A lot of people can make emphasis on the shooting, but for me, I look at defense because I think defensively is the ultimate team side of the sport. When your offense is going well, it masks a lot of mistakes. When your defense isn't so well, it really shows, like it highlights where your deficiencies are. So I think defensively, no matter what, you're going to have to get stops. You're going to have to, stop allowing 120, 125, 123 points in a game and 36, 37, 40-point quarters. That's when you start locking in. So I think defensively, the Raptors have to really turn it up in order for them to make a turnaround at some point of the season.
Yeah, and I think defensively too. You can talk about certain skill guys like a Jordan Poole and like earlier this season Tyrese Maxey. Certain players having career nights against the Raptors, and I feel like that's very uncharacteristic based on what we've seen from this team and its identity over the past couple of years. And I think people look at the defense too, and sometimes it's not just the scheme, and sometimes it's the effort, it's the communication. When you're on a losing streak like this, how do you get some of that stuff back as you continue to slide game to game?
Man, I mean, it's tough. The NBA, when you get in these type of slumps and you start trending in this direction, it's tough because you don't get a lot of practice time. You don't get a lot of time, on the court with yourselves and the coaching staff and correct some of these things. So a lot of times you're going on the fly in a game. And it's just like anything else. Momentum can go the opposite way. And that's the most challenging part about an NBA schedule when you get down like this. So you have to figure it out amongst yourselves. And sometimes it just takes one game. It takes one game, no matter what the team is, no matter what's going on and who you're playing. It takes one game to start getting that good feeling back. So it's not one thing that you can point on or touch on to say this is how we get it going. You can
Yeah.
watch film, you can do all of these things, but it's going to take actually a game or a few games for you to get your mojo back.
Yeah, and I wonder too. Like, I know you've been on good teams. You've been on struggling teams throughout your career. Like, at what point does just pride kind of kick in, right? Because like us media members, we're asking these players the same questions. We're asking the coaches the same questions from week to week. As the losses are piling up, and I know the players are saying the right things about sticking together and all of this. But when you're on a streak like this, at what point does the pride just kick in and you just got to go out there and just fight for a win, right?
Yeah, I think pride is there. It's just, to be honest, you're playing against another team that has a lot of pride too, and they're other great players. Like, sometimes you can, when you're in the amateur sports and things, you can look at a schedule and say, oh, you know what, we probably can get this when we're much better. We're much more talented than these guys, or whatever the case may be. With NBA, you just never know. You never know who you're running into because everyone's talented, right? You say you run against a team without Steph Curry, and then Jordan Poole's very talented, but no one saw 43 points or a 40-point game coming. And just like you think back the last time the Raptors played the Sixers without Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey goes off for 44 points or something like that. So you can't ever take anything for granted. So once again, you have to work from within, and you have to make sure you rely on each other. It's not going to be one play or one person that's going to get you out of that slump. It's going to be everyone together. So you want to hope for everyone to be healthy, and you want to hope for everyone really truly buying in and doing what they need to do to put themselves in position to win. Because a lot of times you're in position to win, and then you lose it at the last minute or last moments of the game. So it's going to take a complete effort from everyone. And once again, if you hit that one game, and that one game can turn things around, and you can look back at your schedule and say, that was the game that boosted us or propelled us to go on this streak.
Yeah, because listen, when this team is down, I think it does feel like, that they're never going to win another game again, which we all know is not true. When you're just looking at it from a big picture standpoint and seeing how this team has played and taking into account all the factors, the injuries and all of that stuff, like how, like on a scale of say like 1 to 10, 10 being like the most concerning, how concerned are you about just the way this roster is constructed and what they can do long term?
I mean, I'm once again, we all are. We're from the outside looking in, and you just never know what the team projections are, what the plan, what the game plan is. Of course, it's winning. I don't think anyone came to this season thinking this team would not, be competitive and trying to win and get at the East and make a push for a championship. And I still believe they have the pieces. They have pieces. They have a core that will allow them to be competitive. When you talk about the players that they have, you talk about, Scotty Barnes, past couple of games, he's showing who he can be, but more on a consistent basis. When you get OG back, everyone know that what he brings from a two-way player. And Pascal playing at a high level. Fred VanVleet is scoring at a high level again. And I think once again, once you realize that all of these people and these pieces, if they play at their best, they can give themselves a chance to win in this East, without a doubt. But it's going to take that. It's going to take all of it coming together. It's going to take everyone combining. It's going to take time, and it's going to take health. But I still believe the pieces are there, whether it's together or you have the pieces that you can make a move, because these are substantial pieces. These are very talented pieces, and you can move and still have value for them. So I think the Raptors really put themselves in a position where they're in a very good position to move forward however they see fit.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting talking about potential moves that they can make, and you like, with the way the team is playing right now, there's just been increasingly more chatter, especially leading up to the trade deadline in a couple months about which direction the Raptors can go. As a player in that locker room, and it's not to say that you don't believe in the guys that are in there, but when you're looking at injuries and you're looking at the starters playing a lot of minutes and you're hoping for more depth on the team, like at some point, when you're in that room, like as a player, like are some of the players possibly just looking at the front office too and saying that, hey, like, we'd like some reinforcements here, like a couple upgrades here to the positions of need?
Man, I tell you, in that locker room, there's a lot of, and I'm not saying the Raptors locker room, but in the professional locker room, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. There's going to be a lot of excuses thrown around, whether it's to each individual, the coaches, or the upper management or anything, right? So when you're in this position, this is why it's so delicate, because losing, it just brings everything. It highlights everything that's wrong. Winning, the same things could be going on, management, coaching, players. But if you're winning, you're not going to say anything, and it looks good. It's just makeup. That's what winning is. But when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it, the core of what you're establishing and developing, it will come to light if you're not winning. So there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, and that's the piece that's so challenging, because that's what can't happen if you're going to get out of this slump. Like, you can't have the finger pointing. You can't have the excuses. You got to man up. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, how can I make this team better? And how can I do it in the realms of what the team is trying to accomplish together? Because, once again, one individual is not going to bring them out this slump. So limit the finger pointing and limit the negative thinking, and make sure that everyone stays together and stays on their square to move forward, because that's the only way you're going to do it. But once again, it's so delicate because it only takes 2 or 3 more losses before everything goes crazy, right? So you just got to be really careful and really stick to the script when you're amongst your team.
Yeah, no, I think the Raptors are like you mentioned, reaching a pretty critical point, especially with the 3 road games this week. And I look at someone like Christian Coloco, who I think was a really good story at the start of the season, and I think he's been put in this. I don't know if impossible is the right word, but in this tough situation where you're a second rounder, you're a rookie, and there's clearly a development curve for a player like that. But at the same time, there's expectations on this team to win. So, I think the starting center position, or even just the rim protection of this team, has been called into question. And a lot of people have talked about wanting to add a traditional big to this lineup, or looking at someone like a Jakob Poeltl who might be available, who's on the Spurs right now. What do you make of that talk in terms of what a traditional big man or adding another big would help on this team right now?
It's amazing that you mentioned it, the traditional big man, because if you look around the NBA and as of late, the past 4 or 5, maybe 7 years, the traditional big man is extinct. Mm-hmm. Like, no one wants that traditional guy now. People are asking for it, and that's what I mean when you're losing, right? When things come out, this is what's needed. We need a 7-footer that's going to clog up the paint. And a year ago it was, this team is a very unique team. It's multiple sides. Everyone can play the same position, and their length and all of that stuff. That was the strength of the Raptors. So that's the piece where you would have to talk to the coaches. And what player, Jakob Poeltl, if it's Akeem Olajuwon, if it's Ralph Sampson, like, what fits into what he's trying to do? You talk about Coloco. Coloco's a young player who's had some games where he, changed shots, blocked shots, and defended the paint. But if you're a young player and you're not getting those consistent minutes, block shots and playing that defense, that's timing, and that's rhythm. So if you're not playing that position over and over with the consistent minutes, you're not going to get that production over and over like that. So it's going to take time for him to build and develop. But I think, once again, when you talk about adding and subtracting pieces, everything has to go into line with what the coach and how they feel that that player best suits their style of play and their philosophy. So it's very challenging. It's very hard for us to say what's needed unless the coach says, this is what we're going to need. And then we can identify the type of players that may fit the team and what they need at that time. Yeah,
I think when a team's going through struggles like this, it does call into question, like, the bigger stuff that we've talked about, like the roster construction. And, we talk about the word traditional. The Raptors clearly haven't been that when it comes to building their current roster. They've made an emphasis on having these 6'9" wing guys and not so many, again, using the word traditional, like traditional guards on the team. Again, I think this is another thing that a lot of people have been talking about, and especially because the team is struggling. Like, do you still believe in that vision of what the Raptors are trying to build with this roster?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the success where it came from, and a lot of people talk about, the internal growth and the player development. And when you look at your core, whether it's OG, Fred, Pascal, that development came from within, right? And now those players are who they are. And you add a few other players, Gary Trent Jr., you add Scotty Barnes that's in the mix, and then you have Chris Boucher that I believe is a very, very critical piece as well. but who's the other players that you're going to invest in that you can see that can help you grow from within? And is there going to be an opportunity where you can go out there and get another Kawhi Leonard or a player of that stature that can help you go over the top or get over the top? I think when you look at the Raptors, they're at a place where their core, that's the core. They're very high-level basketball players, but they're going to need support, just like a Kyle Lowry and just like a DeMar DeRozan. And then when Kawhi Leonard came, they needed that support, and it came from a Fred. It came from a Pascal. It came from that. Who are going to be the next Pascal and Fred coming up into this group, into this culture? And I think that's what you're looking at if you continue going with their philosophy of growing from within and then making a move when it's time to. So and you know how long that took. So it's going to take time if that's still going to be the process, because I still believe Toronto does have the challenge. It's not as easy as going out getting free agents. You can't rely on a free agent. You can't rely on a draft pick. So it's going to have to be a strategy that I think the Raptors have been very successful in from the internal growth. And I don't think that's ever a bad way to go about developing or continue sustaining your success as a team.
Yeah, no, you're showing a lot more patience, Alvin, than the fan base right now. Because I think there's a lot of frustration right now.
But the fan base have been spoiled over the past 15 years, probably from the Raptors. Playing at a high level and then winning the championship. But I've been on a team, man, where we didn't win much, and I know, turnover and trying to get this person for that's not the answer. You may hit the lottery one time, but that's not going to sustain. And, if you didn't have that internal growth from before, that Kawhi Leonard experience could have been a disaster because, of course, Kawhi Leonard can win a championship, but if Fred and Pascal and those guys weren't ready to, still make the playoff push and still have an exciting team, then who knows where the team will be after 2019. So I think, the way the Raptors did it, I think you still put yourself in position to be competitive and also still have value for those players that you grew. Once again, whether they're going to stick with you or you use them, as trade value as well.
Yeah, Alvin, this is why I got to do this job and not be, ever be a GM. Not that anyone was looking to hire me, because one bad week and I'm trying to fire the coach. I'm trying to trade half the roster. So I'm not built for that front office life.
Yeah, it's a tough life because everyone's looking at you and how you're constructing things, but it's so much that goes into that. And then I tell you the biggest thing that goes into it all, having luck. You got to have luck because no one can foresee a player, whether it's a Steph Curry coming out or you get there's a few players that you can foresee that's going to be that person that's going to change your franchise around. So it takes a lot of luck and a lot of game planning.
Yeah, I just want to switch gears really quickly before I let you go. Ask you about Fred a little bit too, and Malachi. Fred was under the spotlight recently with his shooting slump, and he bounced back with two back-to-back 39-point games against Sacramento and Brooklyn. And in the last two games, he's hit 4 3-pointers, which is the first time he's hit 4 3-pointers in both games, which is the first time that he's done that. As I'm looking at the stats since early in the season. Was there ever a worry for Fred? And what are you seeing from Fred recently with his bounce back?
No, it's no worry from Fred. Not on my end. I mean, I watched this man, have one of the lowest slumps the year they won the finals, and then bounce back against Milwaukee and Golden State like he didn't miss a beat. So when you talk about a tough-minded person, you talk about a leader. You talk about somebody that I'm sure, and I don't know his upbringing, and I don't know his whole career path, but I'm sure he's been doubted a lot. I'm sure he's been an underdog a lot. And for him to be in this place, the battles that he had to win, that's not going to change. So if he has 2 or 3 bad games after an all-star season last year and after a great start to the season and have, 2 weeks of a bad season, which may be 6 games or 4 games, he's going to bounce back. He is who he is. He's a tough-minded person, a very good player, still an underrated player in my mind in this NBA. And there's no worry at all when it comes to Fred VanVleet. And I don't think there's any worry at all from Fred, most importantly, because he has the confidence in himself and he has the work ethic and the know-how, and ultimately he has the game. So there was never a doubt in my mind when he was going through a struggle, because every player goes through a struggle for sure.
Yeah, and Malachi being back in the rotation over the weekend, and showing some flashes, on the court with his scoring. After the loss on Friday, Fred was asked about Malachi, and like without fully saying it, he did endorse wanting to see a second guard on the floor with him. And like as we always say, you're an all-time great Raptors point guard. And then, with your experience, like what is it for Fred, especially with the way that the lineup is constructed? He's often playing with like four other, 6'9" forwards out there. What's why do you think Fred is would be pushing to have more 2 point guard lineups out there with a Malachi?
I mean, once again, you're trying to figure things out when you're losing, and so as a player, you look a coach wants to keep pushing their philosophy and their style, right? They're trying because they know the importance of consistency. They know the importance of cracking the struggles in order to get to where you want to get to, and it takes a lot. It takes patience. It's consistency, and as a player, you're looking for the right now while you're out on the court. What's going to work? What's going to work? I'm not trying to keep doing what coach asked me to do if it's not working in my eyes. The coach sees it from a different lens. So, if you're talking about a Fred or any type of player, they may see something or may feel comfortable individually if someone else is out there or a different style is played or whatever the case may be. So that's just the dynamic of a player being out there trying to figure out on the fly or trying to figure out what makes everything moves a little better at that time. A coach is for the long haul. A coach is understanding the importance of putting all this work in and making sure we continue to put it in because it's a different road it's a different line down the road. So I think that's where Fred probably is. He probably feels a little more relief when he has another guard. But once again, this team has been very unique with size and length out there, and they had the most success in the past with that in the past year. So that's the challenge as well. But Malachi is doing his thing, always being ready, and that's all you can ask for as a young man. Be professional and be productive whenever their number is called.
Yeah, I can't imagine that can be easy. It's just, obviously you put the work in, like you mentioned, you're a pro, but not knowing and sometimes going stretches weeks at a time without getting your number called, like that can't be easy for someone like him.
No, no, that's tremendously hard, and that's why you have to take your hat off. And only the people that's been in that situation really understand what Malachi is going through. So I've been in that situation. I've been in a situation where I've played, I've not played, I've played well and still haven't played. I played poorly, and then I was needed. So you play poorly and you need it, your confidence may not be there. You play well and you're just not getting the nod. Now you have doubt. You're uncertain. Now, how do you prepare to keep yourself in tune with the game? So emotionally, he's going up and down, right? Possibly. I mean, I don't know him well at all, but he could be going up and down emotionally. Confidence-wise, could waver a little bit. But when you have someone like a Fred that's endorsing you, or you have your teammates constantly encouraging you, and when you get in the game and it's your time, that helps a lot. And even when a coach, if he's not playing you, that communication and just making sure that that's being displayed as well. So when you do get in there, you have your confidence, you're comfortable, and you're putting the work in on your own, and that's the most important part. You're putting the work in, you're prepared, you're in shape, you're all of these things. So when your number is called, you go out there and play your style of ball and make sure it helps the team win. And once again, Malachi has been doing a very good for the past 2 years. I think he's been doing a very good job of being ready. He might not play as well as the other games, but he's ready to go out there and play, and you pretty much know what you're going to get from a Malachi Flynn. And that's professionalism, and that's just him growing as a young man in this NBA, and it's only going to help him down the road.
Yeah, and before I let you go, Alvin, we talk so much, obviously, about the Raptors and comparing them from last year to this year. I wanted to ask you too, like, how are you finding, your second year, doing, this new role with Sportsnet compared to last year?
Oh man, I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed it last year, but this year I feel good. Matt Devlin, man, is helping me so much. I think he's becoming more comfortable with me. I think he's realized that he can joke on me a little bit. I think he cracks a couple of jokes about me. So we're having fun out there, man. Like I'm having a blast, and I couldn't be asked for anything more, man. I'm learning on a job. I'm getting lessons from my coach, my broadcasting coach.
Nice.
and all these things are coming together. So hopefully I can continue. Hopefully they'll bring me back, and I can continue to grow and have fun, because once again I love being in Canada. I love being in Toronto. I love covering the Raptors. I mean, that's near and dear to my heart, and it's just something that I'm really really enjoying. So I'm gonna keep making these mistakes. I know that. I sit there and I'm like, damn, I kind of pronounced that word wrong and all this crap. But it's fun. It makes me feel like a player again, because I get the jitters, but I also get satisfaction once you get through the game, and you're looking forward to the next games and see what you can do better. So it's really enjoyable for me.
Yeah. Do you find yourself being like as hard on yourself as you used to, maybe as a player,
Oh,
or is that comparable?
yeah. So I have the producers, they're always telling me, they're encouraging me, but they're also letting me know what I need to be doing or what I should do and what I can do a little better, a little more of, and just finding that niche. And Matt is giving me some, the value that he's bringing me is just, I can't even explain and put a measurement on it. But just being around good people. And this is like if you're a young player, the better team you're around, the better you will become. I don't want to be drafted number one and have to go to a bad team. Right? I don't want that. So I'm rather be drafted or not get drafted and be a free agent or whatever, and then get picked up and get put on a top-notch team, because that's how I'm gonna learn and grow, and I don't have that much pressure on me. So it's been a great combination. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be in this position right now.
Yeah, no, you and Matt are obviously awesome. How upset does Matt get when you guys go to arenas and you guys don't get to sit courtside? Because he always reminds us of that on the broadcast when you guys
Hey,
are way up.
it's funny, right? Because Matt is a vet, right? So he knows everything that's going wrong, whether we're way up, whether the earpieces, whether there's not sugar in his tea, like the monitors, like he knows everything that's not on point, and I don't know anything. I'm like, hey, this is all good to me. I know we're in the top of the building, but isn't this how it's supposed to be? Or so I'm learning on the job, man. Like ignorance is bliss. So I don't have any pressure on me. I'm just learning now what's supposed to be what and how things are supposed to be done. But Matt, once again, is truly professional. Even though when there's mishaps, the way he speaks to people and the way he communicates with people on the side, and it's just, once again, being a true professional, being courteous, being conscious of other people and their feelings, having empathy. Like I really look at him like, wow, man, because there are some mishaps, but Matt really handles it as a professional with poise. So it's just great being around that dude, man. I'm having so much fun with him.
Yeah, no, I can tell you are, and I love seeing the personality shine through and just the chemistry between you two. Well, listen, Alvin, I appreciate all your insight as always, and I'll catch you at an arena soon. And happy holidays to you if we don't talk before then.
Same to you, Alex. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Appreciate you. All right, I think that's a good spot for us to take a break. When we come back, Willu makes his return. I'm your host, Alex Wong. You're listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Alex Wong. Producer Derek, is Willu there? William Lou?
I'm here.
Yo, it's so creepy hearing you over the music playing, man.
What's good, my brother? How you doing, man?
Yo, you sound tough, man. You sure?
Do I?
You sure you want to do this?
No, I'm good. I'm good for it.
Yo,
Did you hear the React Pod last night?
Yeah, man. Did you?
I was gone off the Robitussin. I'm not kidding.
Yo,
that one was a tough
Get this
one.
man a promoted tweet for Robitussin, man.
I was on that tussin, man.
Let's get it done. Oh, man. I'm so glad you're back, man. This guy's joining his own show remote, man. What kind of cloud is this, man?
Yeah, it is what it is. Definitely feeling a lot better today. So, able to help you on the show, obviously.
Oh,
Salute to
man.
you, first off, for holding it down. I know that's not easy, because I was listening, obviously, from the start. And when Alvin wasn't on the line at exactly 2 p.m., and you had to tap dance for 2 minutes there, I know how tough that was for you. So respect to you and your game, first and foremost.
Nah, bro, you weren't familiar with my game. I actually requested Brandeo to let me tap dance because
What?
I just thought it would be a
Okay.
better open for people that hear the podcast because, I just wanted to tee it up, This man messaged me. This man's been messaging me at 10 in the morning every day, giving me a medical report. This is really what Blake Murphy and shouts to, Eric Kareem, Michael Grange. They all check the injury report in the morning. And this is what I've been getting from you, man. And, today you marked yourself as out again and then told me about your dental fillings or whatever.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things happening at once.
There's two
been
things.
dealing with the non-COVID illness,
Oh my
and then
God.
this. Yeah, it's a lot, but I appreciate you holding it down. But I'm here. You want to talk about this mess of a team? What's going on?
Oh yeah, sure. I seen you in the chat too, and I saw one of the things you're asking for is, and this was talked about actually yesterday at the arena. I'd be happy to fill you in on all the things that you've missed on the arena this weekend.
Can't wait.
Yo, put Willou's head on this graphic on YouTube, man. And people are asking, like, at some point, is Masai or Bobby going to schedule a press conference and talk about this? Is this what you want?
I think this is something that should happen. Just because, look, I think it's clear that the fan base is not very happy right now, and it's not to say that every single time fans are unhappy that the front office got to step down and like make some sort of appearance. But I mean, we all know what it's like, right? Like the fact that they had a 3-game homestand, and like it wasn't the toughest of homestands, right? Like it's Sacramento playing like their 3rd game in 4 nights. On the second half of back-to-back after they just got blown out. It's Brooklyn where they've already beaten you 3 times. Like, okay, Brooklyn's been playing well. I'm not gonna say that was not an easy game. But then you come with Steph Curry and Wiggins are out, and like you should at least take one of those, right? The first time the Raptors have had a 3-game winless homestands in like almost a decade. So like I think there are standards that the Raptors have set for themselves, and I think that people would probably want to hear from the front office to at least answer some questions in terms of like, where is this going? Like, do you intend to add some pieces? Like, like what's our way out of this, right? Because when you're watching the product and you're seeing the Raptors get down 10 15 points in the first quarter because they're giving up 35 to 40 points, meanwhile you're being told that our franchise is built on defense, right? And honestly, you don't need to be told that. You can just look at the actual roster itself. Clearly they value defense first, and then they teach them things like offense. You're gonna wonder in terms of where this thing is going. So yeah, I think you would like to hear from the front office. I'm not sure like what they'll specifically say. They'll probably come in here and just be politicians as always, because that's, I guess, that's their
Yo,
job.
they're gonna have the presser at history, man.
Oh man, I
gonna
can't
be-
wait. I can't wait to go there a 4th time.
If there's catering, I'm there, man. Let's make
Yeah.
sure it's in the evening, man, so I can get some dinner food. Yo,
This is the first time I've seen my own graphic. So I'm watching the YouTube stream. This thing looks wild, man. Get me back in the office. I'm coming back tomorrow for Blake Murphy Tuesday.
Oh man, shows to our YouTube producer Jennifer Rolnick, man. I requested it and it happened. I'm actually against that in terms of having a Bobby or Masai speak. I think at this point we talk about words versus actions. I don't care about what any of these guys say at this point.
Oh,
like the
fair.
players, the front office, the head coach, it doesn't matter to me. Like if Joel Embiid's gonna drop 60 tonight, like what do any
Oh,
words matter? Like
no, I guess that's fair.
if you're
Yeah.
a front office, and if you are trying to, and I know they are like actively, looking at ways to improve the roster, looking at ways for the team to get out of this, I just want them to take those actions. Like I don't, like it's cool when Masai comes out and slaps the word win on the Noah scoreboard and stuff, but that's the only win I've seen. Their 2 wins this month, I keep saying, was a blowout against Orlando, which they needed a players only meeting and getting humiliated in New Orleans and Brooklyn before they show some pride and won. And the other win was against AD and LeBron without AD and LeBron at home against the Lakers. Like those aren't even legitimate wins. So like you're looking at a team that's gone like what, 2.5 weeks now without like a result. And like I don't think we should like sugarcoat it at all. Like even when you're talking about this homestand, like that loss to Golden State yesterday was just embarrassing. Like
No, that was so hard to watch. My least favorite play was, the Warriors went into a zone, which they had done from basically the first quarter onward for extended stretches, but they went to a zone, and it was literally Scotty passing to Fred on the perimeter, then passing it back to Scotty, then standing in place, then passing to Malika on the opposite wing, dribbling, standing in place, passing it back to Scotty, dribbling, standing in place, passing it back to Malachi on the perimeter, dribbling, standing in place, and then pulling up for three. Like, I mean, there's just got to be more to this, man. That's just not how the game is played. Like it's and then
you're saying they're running the George Mikan offense. Was that on Friday?
no, that was the other day against Brooklyn when every single play was just a post up.
They
Like,
playing like you have
come on,
pickup.
I know there's gotta be more planning that goes into this, man. Especially because the defense is also really bad. Like so
Oh man.
yeah, I don't know. It's just as a viewing product, like it's really tough. It does remind me a little bit of Tampa in the sense that, like, I remember in Tampa there were only 2 types of games. There was the ones where the Raptors would lose right off the jump, and you knew that they was going to lose because they didn't play any defense and they just
Mm.
got blown out the whole way. Or there was a type of loss where they would fight hard, maybe even have the lead, but in the end come down to a close game and lose. And that's like the only 2 types of like performances we've seen in this past month. I mean, you go back to this stretch where you've had these like huge first quarter blowups. That seems to be a problem once again, right? They had that team meeting, but then you see it again here. You saw it against in the Orlando game. The second time that they lost, they gave up like 37. It's just there's just too many problems with the team right now, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you got to throw away the whole team. I think that I still do believe that if you bolster the center position and really limit how much they have to sort of help in the paint, and they can probably stay much more closer to their shooters on the perimeter, and you know have somebody on the offensive end who can finish consistently at center. Because like I don't want to single anybody because it's really not on any specific person. But sometimes I look at the roster and I'm just like, like we started Wancho and Christian Coloco yesterday. They had a combined 6 points, and I'm looking at Coloco in particular, and I'm just thinking about, okay, when was the last time he had 2 baskets made? And I went over his whole season logs, and there are 19 games so first off, he's played all 30 games, so good for him. But like there are 19 of those 30 games where he's made 1 or 0 baskets total.
This guy's like, good for him, good attendance record.
No, but come on, like
No,
what are we
but
talking about here?
no, I was talking to Alvin about it too. Like, you can't put any blame on Coloco. Like, that's just on the roster. That's just on the fact that Nick and the team, like, they have to be playing him right now. And if you're trying to win right now, you shouldn't be playing Christian Coloco. He should be carpooling with Ron Harper Jr. to Paramount Fine Foods. Like,
Yeah.
that's what should be happening.
By the way, why did they recall Jeff Dowtin Jr. just to have him sit on the bench? I mean, like, what was going on? Like, they were like, okay, Nick Nurse. First off, like, the team's a mess, right? You look at like Malachi, for example. I was looking through his game logs. There was a stretch of 10 games recently where Malachi got 4 DNPs and then didn't play more than 6 minutes in any of these 10 games. Okay,
No, he
so
played.
4
He played in
DNPs.
that. He played in that AJ Griffin game in Atlanta,
Sure,
and then
yeah,
I think
yeah.
he played in the Pistons game when they were on the road, and then he just disappeared until
Yeah, exactly.
Friday.
No, until Friday, and then Nick's like, you know what? I can't believe Malachi hasn't been playing more. I don't know who's at the root of this. So he ultimately
He's like, we're all trying to find out who did this.
Exactly. So then he ends up playing 37 minutes of Malachi in that Brooklyn game. He ends up closing the game with Malachi, and which actually I thought did a good job of opening up the floor and spreading the floor so that Scotty could really attack.
Mhm.
That was one of the few times where I was like, oh wow, the Raptors actually had the floor decently spaced. Of course, I didn't end up winning the game, but that was obviously a pretty exciting one. And then yesterday, you're seeing Malachi just like outright start in the third quarter,
Oh,
and you're
yeah,
just
that
like,
was the
man,
adjustment, bro. Our
what's going
adjustment,
on?
our
We've seen
adjustment.
Kem Birch start
This is
in
what
the
I'm
third
saying.
quarter.
Our
And I'm just like, yo, the last time I've seen
adjustments. Oh
Kevin
my god,
Malachi start were in Tampa. So these are bad signs.
bro. The last 2 weekends, the big adjustment coming out in the second half has been last week in Orlando was start Kem Birch, and this
Mm.
week was start Malachi. Like it's tough. And before we move off this too, like you mentioned, your favorite possession was them trying to fight the zone. I got two. One was
Okay.
when they missed 5 shots in one possession.
Oh,
just
come on,
to,
but
just to
the
juice
Raptors are number one in rebounding.
But they're-
They love offensive rebounding.
They're like, Raps won the possession battle again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's 5 possessions in one play.
I'm not calling that winning anything, man. That's not winning basketball.
There was
Sorry.
another one in the second half. You know, if the Robitussin kicks in, you should clip this one. Is when they shot 2 air balls. I think Fred shot an air ball and then Chris grabbed a rebound and also shot.
Oh,
They got
that was Delano.
yeah, it was Delano. Like 2. How do you get 2 shot attempts and still have a 24-second violation? Like that's insane to me. Like,
Okay, the wildest part about that, because
Oh
I know
my
exactly
God.
what you're talking about. It was after the Warriors called timeout. The Raptors had the ball.
oh man,
And then, so this is after a timeout. So first off, the decision made for the lineup was
this was a 3-guard lineup. It was a
Malachi
3-point
and
guard
Delano
lineup. Yeah.
with Chris Boucher and Christian Koloko at the center. Okay, so somehow on a team of all 6'9" guys, we have no 6'9" guys on the floor. Okay, no wings, just small guards and then random lanky centers. And then the play that they come out with, exactly where I know what you're talking about. They give the ball to Boucher at the top after Delano tries to drive, had to bail out, give it to Boucher. Then they're like, okay, we got to you can't just give Boucher the ball at the top. We got to have one of our 3-point guards come to get the ball. Fred and Delano both cut to the ball to the point where they're cutting each other off.
Oh my god.
Okay, Delano ultimately wins that fight with his own teammate for the ball, then drives in and takes another contested pull-up, and this time it's an air ball. So yeah, trust me, it's funny because going the other way, the Warriors literally get a wide open dunk the other way. It looked like they were playing 2 different sports last night.
Bro, they were getting
the
crushed
difference
by
in class.
every green. Draymond, Jermichael.
Yo, they were running green pick and rolls, man. Everybody was a green light. God.
Jordan Green was out there scoring 43.
Oh,
Jordan
man.
Poole was at medieval times yesterday. He was feasting, bro. Like I didn't see any resistance. And then at one point, Clay just drove right by Scotty. And I'm like, didn't Clay have 2 surgeries? Like, oh man, it's
No, the team's down bad.
It's a
the team
mess
is
right
down.
now.
The only thing down bad more than the team is me. But
no, it's
back to
tough, man. I got Philly tonight. Like
I can't wait.
that's a get that 60-point graphic ready for Joel Embiid. And the Knicks are on a 7-game win streak right now. And they're gonna play them on Wednesday. And Cleveland's one of the top teams in the East. And I'm sure they're gonna
Cleveland was the last good win that we had. When we think back at the start of this stretch, remember because we beat Cleveland, we held them to it was
It was like
decent
88
defensive
points or
effort.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was when Pascal came back. And the only thing that was awkward was Gary and Scotty came off the bench, and then Scotty gave that very muted interview about it. But the whole thing was very positive. The Raptors beat Cleveland, and it was like, okay, we got Pascal back. We're mostly healthy. Let's go on this run. You look at the schedule, a lot of soft teams, at least just on paper, right? You're like, oh, Orlando 3 times, Sacramento's coming in. Golden State's not playing well on the road. They literally only had 2 road wins all season coming into last night, and then they just played they were undefeated.
They
on the
should have
road.
had the game at medieval times, man. It was just pure chicken on the table, man. Even Ty Jerome coming in licking his lips.
Yo,
Man.
Ty Jerome. Oh man. To be fair though, he was just one of those he was just pulling up from 30 feet. And I was like, I've seen lots of Warriors games. You don't do this normally.
Things are bad.
But I guess
when-
everyone had the green light. I guess.
Yo, Draymond came in and just hit 3 threes right away, man.
Yeah.
What? And he was flashing his right hand like Booker T every time he hit a layup. The disrespect, we keep saying the Raptors need a game to just get right. Right now, the Raptors are the get right game for everyone else.
Exactly.
Like
That's
it's
the main issue. Every single team comes in here and says, "Don't worry, we got the Raptors on the schedule. We
like
got this." You
like
know?
it's wild. Like I respect the guys that were still on that Warriors roster, but without Steph and Wiggins, like come on, especially
Bro,
when you're desperate for a win.
if you weren't looking up at the banner above them, you would never know that the two franchises are at the same level 3 years ago. You know? And
Man,
and to me it was just like, look, the Warriors have a system, right? Like all these teams that are able to continue surviving without some of their key players is because of the fact that they have a system in place and they can plug other players into their roles and then just keep going, right? To be honest, last night Jordan Poole just hopped into that Steph Curry role. They ran the same kind of plays and stuff like that, and he was very effective. Like I don't even if Steph played, I don't know if he would have scored like 43 like the way Jordan did, right? So they have guys who could step into the roles. They play their system. They know how to play. It's beautiful basketball. It's guys splitting off of each other for cuts, on ball, off ball, dribble handoffs. The motion is consistent. They're attacking the glass. Like they work well as a team. And so even with main absences, they can continue to roll like they did. Versus on the Raptors side, I was listening to post game interviews, and Nick's like, well, we're missing a couple guys, and Fred's like, I don't know if we're built to play with injuries. And I'm just like, guys, we can't be talking about this when they're missing Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins. Like, where is the system in place for the Raptors where you can plug other guys in and replace some of the roles that other guys were missing? Yes, it really hurts to miss OG Anunoby, who's your best defender. It hurts to have Gary Trent Jr. out of the lineup because he provides a scoring punch for you. Obviously, Precious and Otto are valuable rotation bench pieces for you as well when they're healthy. But come on, like this is the middle of the season. You look across the league, everybody's on an injury report somewhere. You still got to be able to perform. And for the rest of the guys, who were plugged in, they look like they were, a fish out of water. Like every time Delano Banta comes into the game, I'm not sure what he's supposed to be doing. And I don't, it doesn't feel like I'm sure he knows what he's supposed to be doing. Right. So yeah, it's, there's a lot of problems going on right now. Is it time for a whole new game?
yeah, just watch the clock. I got to be out here at 2:55 and back
Fair
home
enough.
by 3:15. Now it's time for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. Will, the line for tonight's game, the Raptors are in Philadelphia, second half of a back-to-back. The Sixers are 7.5-point favorites.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm guessing the pick is Philly. OG Anunoby,
The pick is Philly.
questionable. So he might play. Gary Trent
So
Jr.
we're gonna bring OG
questionable.
Anunoby back from a hip pointer injury against Joel Embiid, and probably have him switch on him a couple times as well. Like, does that seem advisable?
Nothing seems advisable. Maybe just start Kem Birch tonight and see what's good. Yeah, I don't know.
I actually wouldn't mind, to be honest.
They just need one win to just feel good about themselves. Like, you don't want this losing streak to snowball, clearly, but
Yeah.
man, this Philly team right now, Tyrese Maxey is still out, but Joel Embiid is averaging 38 points in the month of December. So, go look up the Raptors roster of bigs, and then go look up Joel Embiid's game logs. Philadelphia, 7.5, I think is a smart choice tonight.
Yeah, probably a lot of double teams against Joel Embiid. Sixers are going to move the ball around. I think the Sixers too. It's just like they've played the Raptors so many times. Obviously, they literally played a playoff series. Like they know exactly how to counter the Raptors.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to take delight if it's a blowout. They're going to take delight in that, man. Like,
sure, yeah.
I don't think they're going to let up.
Plus, what's the Raptors' road record right now? Are they still at 3 wins?
Yep, Raptors are tied for league worst with 3 wins on the road. The Warriors caught them yesterday.
Damn.
Because they played at medieval times.
It's nothing sacred anymore. Not even the road win solidarity?
Nothing is sacred. Yeah, so the pick is Sixers minus 7.5. That was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game.
Lock that in.
Bought a extra minute to let you know that on Friday, I did creep Yuta Watanabe in the tunnel after his pregame warm-up. Gave him a big dap. And, he was looking around. He's like, why is there just one today? And I was like, yeah, Will's out with a non-COVID illness, and he tried his best to pretend he cared. He was like, oh, okay.
That's it? He's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to hit a game winner.
He kind of laughed. He kind of laughed, too. I think he just thinks we're just funny dudes. So, anyways.
Funny enough to go to Robin with? No.
His agent... His agent has been messaged, so we're into the year 2023 to land
I'm
an
sure
interview.
that's what his agent's responding to a week before Christmas. for one of the most popular athletes on earth. Will he go to ramen in another city with some random person?
No, I'm not even asking for ramen. I'm asking
man.
I'm asking for an interview on the show, man.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Anyways, hope you feel better tomorrow. If not, I guess I'll be here with Blake.
No, I'm back tomorrow. Don't worry. I appreciate you for toning it down. I know how hard this is for you.
Man, I don't even got water at my condo today. They shut off the water valves. Like,
really,
I famously take 5 showers a day.
You're just admitting on air that you're unshowered. That's fine.
Well, I showered 4 times yesterday, if that counts.
That doesn't count.
All right, that does it for us.
That's probably why your condo has no water.
That does it for us for today. I'm your host, Alex Wong. You've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review our show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong. That's myself. To Will Liu, who's still there. Yo, please log off, man. Our board producer, Derek Brandeo, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping us with the YouTube stream and putting out 3 different photos of Will Liu on the YouTube. Will talk to you tomorrow.